Hey everybody, AC here, and welcome back to another episode of Anime Season 7. This time we are talking about my pick for the second best slime in anime, and that is Sue from Monster Musume. Oh god, there's a lot to read here. Sue is a slime girl that snuck into Kimihito's house without noticing while looking for sources of water. She is the fourth girl to move in with him, albeit unofficially. Prior to her appearance, slimes were still considered dangerous creatures by humans, and thanks to Miss Smith not wanting to bother with overlooking the issue, are still thought of that way outside of the people she interacts with. She makes her debut in Chapter 8. As a slime, Sue's true form is a large mass of transparent blue gelatinous slime. She also has a mass of green hair with 3 yellow antennae on the tips for easier interaction with humans. Sue shapes herself into a somewhat humanoid form that, according to Mia and Centauria, is unheard of for a slime to be able to do. Sue normally shapes herself to be about the same size and build as Poppy, the harpy girl in the series. But when she absorbs a certain amount of water, she chooses a more mature form, i.e. she gets taller and looks more like a adult woman. Poppy is your lolly of the group, basically. She becomes taller, bouncier, and curvier than usual. The excess water goes straight to her bust and hips. When dehydrated enough, she becomes small enough to fit into a small bucket, showing as only a head and hands peeping over the rim. While usually naked, Sue occasionally wears only a raincoat and boots, since any other clothes would just get wet and dirty from contact with her, or wouldn't fit due to her constantly changing sizes. Personality? At first glance, Sue seems to be a childish and simple-minded individual. She has a rather innocent, happy, and sunny disposition and seems to be pretty friendly. While she does not have a malicious personality, her apparent obliviousness to the world around her can cause her to sometimes endanger people's lives by accidentally suffocating them with her own body. Because of their similar personalities, Sue gets along very well with Poppy, and they are frequently seen playing together. Sue appears to be quite impressed by the protective concern Poppy has shown towards her, and seems to have chosen her friend as a role model. Sue's main method of learning seems to be through mimicking the actions of others, such as Mia, Centauria, and Poppy. It initially seemed like Sue was unable to talk, and the only things she said were phrases mimicked from others. Kimihito theorized that mimicking was how Sue communicated. It is eventually shown that the childish, simple-minded, and oblivious aspects of Sue's personality seem to be a facade she keeps up for as of yet unknown reasons. When she was taking care of sick Kimihito, and the suggestions of other girls were only making things worse, Sue dropped the facade and cured him herself. She then, in front of everybody, talked by herself to reveal she's fallen in love with him, to everyone's great shock. When called out on it, Sue immediately returned to mimicking. So far, both times Sue has dropped the charade was when Kimihito was either sick or in danger, suggesting that his safety is her greatest priority. While normally friendly, Sue can be angered when successfully provoked. So far, the only time this has happened was when both Poppy and Kimihito, arguably the two people closest to her, were in danger. When Sue was angry, she showed willingness to resort to violence for the first time. Even before the revelation about her true personality, it was already strongly implied Sue was more intelligent than it seemed. She did seem to genuinely enjoy playing with the children and went out of her way to save a girl's life despite not mimicking it from anyone. She also okay, yeah, it does make sense. She also very carefully chose her words to ask the girl if she was okay while still pretending to mimic. For some reason, like the way the text is written out, it made it seem like it wasn't a proper sentence, but no, it is. Um, she even did the same thing in an attempt to assure Poppy uh, when it seemed she might die. She being Sue. Um, she even remained calm despite freaking out earlier when Poppy flew over a lake, and when she was saved, she comfortingly assured Poppy she was okay. Uh, it basically, if she falls into a lake or a large enough body of water, instead of absorbing the water will absorb her and she'll die. Of all the tenants at Kimihito's residence, Sue is by far the most versatile, and due to her unpredictable personality, possibly even the most dangerous. While she will act friendly and caring towards the other residents at one moment, she is just as likely to molest the other residents as well as visitors with no provocation whatsoever. While such behavior initially seemed attributable to her lack of familiarity with the human norms, man, I'm struggling to speak now. um, Later episodes seem to confirm that she does this for her own sadistic amusement and, to a less frequent extent, a twisted show of affection. Examples of her intent on drinking water from the bodies of others rather than a nearby broken water faucet. When it comes to food, Sue can eat anything digestible, even if it's not actually food, or rather, Sue can absorb anything she can digest that happens to enter her body. She has eaten everything from regular food to Mia's practically lethal cooking, poisonous plants and raw fish heads. She probably has no ability to taste what she absorbs. In the anime, she once drinks soda pop not because of the flavor, but because it's carbonated and she enjoyed the feel of the fizz. In the manga, she said the cow milk was tasty. In theory, Sue can choose to enjoy the taste or take note, although she does not have taste buds as the mouth is just for appearance. It is hinted, however, that she does need some form of sustenance as when short on food. Sue says she can eat anything she can digest, and that Kurusu didn't need to get food for her, rather than saying she didn't need to eat. Oh, okay. Skills and traits are next. After this, I got 2 more paragraphs and then skills and traits, and that's the longest one. I might just read what the skills and traits are, and then use my own words to describe them. Simply because I don't want to be here for 30 minutes, reading everything in Sue's whole description. Some of the substances she absorbs can have certain kinds of effects on her personality until they get out of her system. Healthy water and fertilizer will increase her intelligence and give her a more sophisticated personality, like when she correctly deduced the reason for Key's rampage and figured out how to stop it. Poison caused her to speak abrasively, calling Smith a leech, and the Mon girls and Smith freeloaders when they ate all of Kimihito's food, as well as being vengeful when Draco tried to attack Kimihito, molesting her after poisoning Draco. Seawater will cause her to become more seductive, lustful, and amorous. Temperature also has an effect on Sue. As when she became chilled, Sue becomes cold. While Sue is usually childish, in reality she is probably the most self-sacrificing of the 7 monster girls who live with Kimihito. This is especially evident in her fight with Negasu, which she saved Kimihito from being absorbed by the black slime, even though she knew that she could die in the process. This clearly shows her strong feelings for Kimihito, as she was ready to make the ultimate sacrifice for him, to sacrifice her own life to save him. Skills and traits. Liquid body. She's made out of a translucent, liquidy slimy substance. Invulnerability. She literally can't be hurt. She gets splatted against the wall several times throughout the series, and she just pops right off it, completely fine. Adhesive body. She's able to stick to different surfaces. She's able to stick to different surfaces. So in the case of this one girl who was getting hurtled towards a wall, she stuck herself to the wall that the girl was gonna hit, and used her body to cushion her. Poison and disease immunity. She can't be killed by poison or disease. They do affect her personality, as we learned about earlier. Poison expulsion. She is able to spit out poison that her body absorbs. So she's able to absorb different poisons, keep it in her body, and then use it as an attack later on. Water absorption. That's how she grows and shrinks. She grows into an adult form when she absorbs water. When she expels that water, she returns to a childlike form. Absorptive properties. And that just talks about her personality changes depending on what kind of water she absorbs. Conscious digestion. She can just digest anything. Healing. She has healing properties. She's able, as we learned about when she healed Kimihito. Shapeshifting. She can shapeshift into anything or into basically anything or anyone. She shapeshift in the chapter where Kimihito gets sick. She shapeshifts into him, in order to try to learn how the others would cure him. To try to learn how the others would cure him, what they would do to heal him. So basically, everything they do to her, she ultimately ends up mimicking and doing to Kimihito. Size shifting. Again, she absorbs water, changes her size. She's got her normal size. She's got her adult size. She's got her MILF size. And yes, that is the actual size. The name of the size, the MILF size. When she absorbs a lot of ocean water, and then she's got her Zilla size, her Slimezilla size. Which is exactly as it sounds. It's a giant kaiju-sized Sue, which we only see twice in the series. Slime tentacles. You can't have a slime without also having tentacles involved. So yeah, that's obvious. Sense of taste. She, like we read before, she doesn't really. Like we read before, she doesn't really. She doesn't really have a sense of taste. She can choose whether or not to taste something that she puts into her body. But she's more so guessing as to what it tastes like than actually tasting it. She doesn't actually have taste buds, but she is guessing based on how other people have reacted to the food. She is guessing how it tastes. If she sees that everybody loves it, then she guesses that it tastes good, and so her body basically assigns assigns a flavor to it in a sense, but she herself cannot taste what she's actually putting in her body. Voice mimicry. She's able to mimic other people's voices. Mind reading. The green tendril that's coming out of her out of her hair. She can place that onto a person's forehead, and she can read what they're thinking. Fast learner. Just like everything else, she absorbs knowledge just like that. She's able to absorb and retain knowledge very easily. Eidetic memory, yeah, like I just said, when she learns that, she's got it locked in. Acting, she does have acting skills. She is able to trick people into doing things for her by acting a certain way. Hand-to-hand combat. She has good hand-to-hand combat, especially with her tentacles. Spraying water. She's able to spray the water she absorbs. And weaknesses. I should probably read this, because this actually is kind of important. Despite all these strengths, Sue is not invincible. Throwing her in a body of water can temporarily immobilize and stun her, and she becomes diluted. If the body of water is large enough, like a lake, the dilution effect would be strong enough to kill her. Heavy rain is also dangerous to her, as the impact of all the water drops dissolve any part of her body exposed to it. Also, exposing her to high temperatures dries her out. If she dries out, she shrinks in size to the point where she can fit in a small bucket, and makes her lose her humanoid form. However, doing so is the equivalent of starving her, and during that time, Sue will mercilessly molest anything with even the slightest trace of moisture on them, no matter the circumstances. That basically, she is desperate for any sort of water. She is desperate for any sort of water, and so if that means she has to molest some girls to get the sweat off of their bodies, she's gonna do it, because that's how she survives. That's her best chance of survival. Additionally, due to being a living liquid, she is also susceptible to freezing temperatures. As her humanoid forms are based on the female forms of actual humans and humanoids, her body's outer membrane is vulnerable at the mouth. Nipples and genital areas. At these points, her membrane can be involuntarily penetrated and or breached, which will either allow access to her slime core, or provide a means for the liquids making up her form to be forcefully drawn out. After gaining heightened intelligence after absorbing honeybee royal jelly, Sue attempted to guard against such attacks by placing her tentacles over her vulnerabilities to prevent them from being accessed. And then she has different forms. She's got her dehydrated form, her child form, which is her default, her adult hydrated form, her MILF form, her poison form, her hard ass form, her gelatinous cube form, her core form, her tentacle monster form, and Slimezilla. Her Slimezilla form. And that's all the different forms. And I can't even show you most of it, because most of the images involving her are not safe for work. But I can show you a few. There's a few images I can show you. Yeah. So, that's her after she saved a little girl. That's her when she's spitting poison. Here we go. That's her in her adult form. Here's another picture of her with her poison form. And here's a picture of her in her dehydrated form. This one was drawn by Queen Haiku. I cannot show you any of the other pictures because they are all very not safe for work. This series is a very not safe for work series, so that's the best I can do. All right. Okay. So, but that's it. That is everything. So, next up is the final episode. Well, not the final episode. There is the outro video. There we go. All right. All right, well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good jazz. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.